Okay, so on to books.
Yes.
On the topic of books. Um, you want to talk a little bit about the story behind the circular temple
Oh, yeah.
and what the circular temple is and all of that?
Yes. So Mark Jones wrote a book called The Sabian Symbols, and it's symbols for each degree of the zodiac. And I would use those in my interpretations. I loved them because the symbols are like visual pictures, and they allow you to kind of tap into astrology in a more subjective, intuitive feeling way. And I started thinking about channeling a set of degree symbols. And I think and think and think about it. Well, I had one friend who was an astrologer, and she said, well, I told her at one point that I was thinking about channeling a set of symbols. And she said, well, John, just go ahead and do it. Just do it. She said, I'll help you. And so we decided to get together. We took 360 note cards, and like it would say on it 5 Gemini or 16 Cancer. We had 360, one for each degree of the zodiac, turned face down, so I couldn't see which degree I was working on. She would pick up the card one by one, and I'd tell her what picture came to my mind, and she wrote it down on the card. And then this whole thing happened really quick, because once she had gotten them all written down, I went and put them all in order, and I typed them up, and I was due to go to an astrology convention in about 2 weeks. So I just made copies of them, and I took them to the convention, and Ray Merriman was there, and he said, we're getting ready to reprint the Dwada Shamsa book. Is there anything you want to add to it? And I showed him the symbols, and he said, well, this is extensive enough. We should just make this volume 2, So that's what we did. So that book on the Sabian symbols came out with little tiny, like 2-line interpretations. Like you'd have the image, what the picture was, and then I'd give it a couple of line interpretation. So it was a short book.
Yeah.
Well, Elias Lonsdale found that book. He bought it in a bookstore out in California. And he said when he first got it, he thought, this is it. This is something I'm delving into.
Yeah.
So he ended up writing a book with much more extensive interpretations of each one of those symbols. And then a number of years later, I got this urge to write another set of symbols. I can't do it now, but someday, just between you and I'll explain what in my chart, what I think is really, this is all about. But anyway, I thought, this is weird. Why would I do yet another set of symbols? But I did it anyway. And this time I did it alone, without my friend helping me. And I got it all done, and I sent it to Elias, and I said, I don't know why I did this. He says, well, I'll tell you why you did it. He says, there was meant to be 4 sets of symbols, and they are the Sabian symbols, the Chandra symbols, and he said, and then the Hyperion symbols. There's a book called the Hyperion symbols. And he said, you just channeled the 4th set, which is the Omega symbols. And they go with the ascendant, descendant, midheaven, and IC.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So on that, which one, and I think it's interesting you bring that up, because when I've used just the Sabian symbols in the past, I will always, when I'm doing a report for somebody, I will always put the fucking Sabian symbol for the ascendant, descendant, midheaven, and IC. Always, yes. Always.
Yes.
Critically important. So I think that's interesting.
That's great. That's a way that you use to tune in, obviously.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And I might not bring them up for everything, but I will always bring them up for those specific points.
Yeah, that's great.
Which one do you think has to do, if you were to tie the Chandra symbols to one of the, what would you tie it to? Would it be the?
Well, Elias says it's the descendant.
Okay.
So it's about how things relate. And it's not like it's not like, oh, you'd only use that for the descendant. You can use the Chandra symbol for any plant point in the chart, but it's really how the symbol seventh houses, you
It
know,
it has yeah, it has like that.
how it relates. Yeah.
They have like the yeah, no, I get what you're saying. You can use them for anything, but there is like a descendant-y flavor.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
got it. Yeah.
What about
And then
descendant?
the ascendant's the Sabian symbol.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the omega symbol is which is another set, is the IC.
Okay.
And then Gavin McClung's Hyperion symbols would be the midheaven.
Okay.
Now, here's the deal. Even after this, I thought I would read the Chandra symbols and I'd think, wow, it's like I'm seeing something behind this. There's something different. He's doing a more earthly vibe on this, but there's something behind it that's more like cosmic.
Uh-huh.
So I went through and rechanneled each one of the Sabian symbols to its more cosmic flavor.
Okay.
And Elias was approving of that. He thought it was good. He liked it. So I went with it. And then the Hyperion symbols are very, very kind of mundane.
Okay.
They're very physical world oriented,
Okay.
kind of. And I guess I wanted something out of them once again that was more cosmic.
Mm-hmm.
So I rechanneled them as in that way and called them the Azoth symbol.
Okay.
So Azoth is a alchemical word for Mercury.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Yes. And so then what the circular temple is all four sets of those symbols for each degree. So if you look up, what degree is your moon in?
It's a 1605 Capricorn.
Yeah, so that would be the 17th degree. So if you can look up in the circular temple under 17 Capricorn, and it will have.
It was something about a gold ring and a cake.
Exactly.
I have gone through the circular temple. It is I recommend it. Anybody watching this, it's a cool fucking book. It really is very cool.
Well, thank you so much. And and we're in a process right now where Paul Swan is editing the book. He's doing a great job, just a great job. He's refining the book. He's taking out all the typos. And then the book is going to come out in a 1-volume text. Okay. The prose poems will be removed from it. They will be put in their own book.
Okay. Yeah.
They already are in their own book. So we're just taking those prose poems out because it makes, see, I'm going to hold you up now. This is volume 1 and volume 2 of the Circular Temple. And each one of these books, like this one is, each one of them is 572 pages. Yeah, and the other one's about 562. So we just want to have it all in one volume.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, then another thing that the circular temple can be used for, and this I think is really important, as a system of divination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That yes. You mean like if you're like almost like instead of asking the cards, like tarot cards, a question, say you could ask a question and go to a specific page, or not like you're looking for a specific page in the book, but just like turning to a page in the book.
Exactly.
See what.
Yeah. Exactly. And the way I do it is, I'm going to do it right now here on my phone. I Google random number generator.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So, yeah. And so then it comes up with here, minimum and maximum. They have the minimum set as 1. I'm going to set the maximum as 360.
Okay.
Now, do you want to ask a question, and we'll answer it with the circular temple? Not a yes or, like what are the vibes surrounding, or?
Okay. What are the vibes surrounding What will the vibes be like surrounding me tomorrow?
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to hit generate 337.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's going to come out to 7 Aquarius. So we're going to go to 7 Aquarius, which is degree number 337. And we're going to see what the symbols are. Oh, no,
I was gonna say Pisces.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. 337 is 7 Pisces. Yeah, the Omega symbol is an open air library, the books magically impervious to the elements.
Okay.
The Pleiadian symbol is fragments of an antique colossus lying on a beach.
Okay.
The Chandra symbol is a candle burning. There is a ring of salt around it on the floor.
Okay.
The Azoth symbol is a space alien implants a microchip in a sleeping man's leg. Now, I'm not sure which one of those are going to be the focus of your day.
Hopefully I'm not implanting any microchips.
No, but possibly, maybe it means you're going to get a whole bunch of information somehow.
Maybe, especially with the library, the first one dealing with the library and the
Yeah. And I like the way the library is in open air because it's connected with the weather and the elements. But even if it rains or snows or gets hot, the books are impervious.
well, there's actually a lot of truth to that. I work outside
Uh-huh.
in the elements. It's hot as shit today. It's got to be, what is it? It's like 100 or something.
Oh boy.
So there is like an imperviousness to the,
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And it says here, the title, like each of these degrees has a summarized title, and the title of this is Confidence in Spiritual Knowing.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'll take that. I'll take it. I'll take it. Do you want to talk a little bit about, just because I think it's an interesting thing to talk about, the channeling?
Oh, yes.
The actual like process. I know we talked about that a little bit earlier, but like the actual process of channeling and like what that's like for you. Just because I know that there are people that watch the channel that actually do similar, like they've expressed doing similar like things. So
yeah. Well, I link it with many things in my life, but of course, one of the things I link it with is doing astrology readings.
Yeah.
And I have always had stage fright about astrology readings. I've always had that. That's why I like to write them out, because then I kind of had control over the thing. But sometimes when a person comes for a reading, I'm wondering about how to communicate the information to them, what form to put it in, where to focus in the chart and whatever that. And I used to have a lot of anxiety about that. And then I have anxiety afterwards about whether or not I had done a good job or like that. When I know I'm channeling is when I'm sitting doing a reading for someone and suddenly I realize my mouth is going a mile a minute. I'm talking and it's just streaming forth and I know it's right and I know it's what I need to say to him, but it's almost like being on a runaway horse. Like I'm not controlling the horse. The horse is running over the landscape with me on the back of it.
And there's no like hesitation as to what you say.
No.
Kind of. Yeah.
No. And then a lot of times too, things will come across in a very simple way. And I think it's because these angels, spirit guides that want me to get something, they're intent on me getting it. And so they put it in this real simple way. Just yesterday when I was talking to Paul Swan, we had a meeting on the phone and I'm trying to think. Oh, 3 words came across.
Okay.
Making things work.
Okay.
And it was in reference to the sign Capricorn.
Okay.
That really sums up Capricorn. Making things work.
Mm-hmm.
and that with Pluto and Capricorn now,
Mhm.
what we're finding out is all this shit that doesn't work.
Yeah.
and all the ways we're trying to make things work that ain't working.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah. Yeah.
And Pluto's just saying this is time to do something about this kind of thing.
Yeah. And especially even right now with Saturn in Aquarius, and it's like, okay, there's another way. There's another way. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
oh, sorry, go ahead.
one of my visions of the future is I think we're going to be having groups getting together, focusing psychic energy for the purpose of protection and clearing and helping the world. Imagine if like people believed in that generally and all did it together and worked on it together.
Yeah, they all focused towards one goal, one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
It would be so powerful.
Yeah, it really would be. I think you're right about that. It would probably overpower like anything. Yeah, it really would.
Oh, I think it would. Yeah, I think it would.
Let me see. Okay. The last question that I have on here. What tips would you give to young astrologers or even just people that want to learn astrology more deeply? What kind of advice would you have for either of those sorts of people?
Well, in the old way of learning astrology back like in the Middle Ages and like that, it was an apprentice thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way. If you can find one person that really you feel like knows a lot and is good at what they're doing, study with that person, really apprentice yourself to them.
I think, yeah.
And then I think practicing doing astrology and getting feedback is important.
Yeah, I think yeah, for sure.
Yeah. One very upsetting thing about astrology is, don't you think there's a lot of astrology out there that's really kind of just superficial? I thought that'd get a laugh.
Yes. Oh, are you talking about like pop astrology shit?
Exactly. The shit was the key word there, I think. Yes.
Yes, there is a lot of that, and it is. Well, it's frustrating to me because it's like, well, at the same time, okay, like I want to give. It gets people interested, right? Like I want to give it credit for that at least. But the problem with it is, it gets people interested, but then they get so stuck on what are my big three? Okay, like there's a part of me that wants to be like, who the fuck cares? Like because that's not all that's important. You know what I mean?
Right.
But so while I want to give it at least a little bit of credit for getting people interested, getting people's foot in the door, it's like people will sit in this limbo place where they don't go off any further.
Exactly. Yeah, they need to push it further and they need to find the source.
Yes, or
a good source.
Or at the very least, quit talking about it like you're going really deep when you're not.
Exactly.
It's a hard thing, but yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, and it drives me crazy because I feel like it kind of makes. I feel like it makes what we do, and the people that do take it seriously, the people that have made careers out of it, the people that really want to help people in this way, it makes us we're not taking us seriously.
Yes.
Because of that shit, and because that shit is so fucking noisy and so fucking prevalent on social media.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could
and
go
so
about that.
Yeah. read people like Alan Oken and Jeff Green and
I have some of their books out here with me.
Yeah, and Liz Green and read me, and read you, don't read drivel and don't read shit.
Yeah, yeah, I think that is, like let you, that kind of stuff can get your foot in the door, but always if you really want to learn it, you have to go further than just like the stuff pop astrology talks about.
Exactly. And, and also I think push yourself to do readings. Almost everybody I've ever taught astrology, when I've said to them, I think you should go and do readings, they'll go, oh, I don't know enough yet. You're never going to know enough. Don't worry about that. There's so much to know. Just you need to put it in practice, like do it.
I agree with that. It's one of these disciplines that is, there's so much to learn, right? There's so much to know. Over time, you're going to learn more, but why let that stop you from trying? From trying now. Like, you could always learn more as you go along. That's normal. You should, always want to learn more, but
right.
Let that.
And there's another really important thing too, and that's people have complexified astrology to the nth degree. Like, in Hindu, in Indian astrology, there's about 40 different house systems. Don't get hung up on that stuff, don't get hung up on those kind of quibbling little details that bog you down, and so you can't do readings because you don't know which thing to do or who to follow on this or that. Get in there and work with it.
You bring up something very interesting with the house system thing, because that's another one of my pet peeves. The people who are very this is the only way that you can do this, and it's they're very rigid about the house system that they want to use, and they're very loud about it too. And I think that can also be confusing for people that perhaps feel like something else fits better for them, but they're hearing all this fucking noise like they shouldn't be using.
Oh yeah, right.
Using, you know
exactly.
what I mean?
Exactly.
And really, it comes down to whatever I believe it comes down to whatever works for you, whatever you feel most comfortable with using as a using to translate.
Yes, I think that's exactly right. For years, I used equal house system. Now I use Coke. And, I don't like to get into all these lengthy discussions. When people say, why do you use Coke? I give them two reasons. Number one, things go better with Coke. And number two, Coke is the real thing.
And those are fine. Yeah, those are fine answers, And it's like a question like, and it's like, because I like it.
Right. Now, to be more serious about why I use Coke, Debbie Kempton Smith told me one time she'd done a lot of research on watching transits over Coke cusps.
Okay.
And she says she feels like they're always cause something to happen. And so I had such respect for her as an astrologer. I thought, I don't have time to do all that research. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Coke.
How long have you been using it?
20 years.
Cool.
And before that, I used equal house.
Cool.
And then you've heard of that whole house system?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh boy. And that's just crazy in my chart, since I have 28 Leo ascendant. It throws everything.
It tends to be the whole sign, and this is like on Reddit and places. It tends to be the whole sign people that are the loudest and the most aggressive about using that.
Yes.
And if you don't use it, you're wrong.
Yes.
Anybody watching this that does that, you know who you are. But yeah, it does seem to be yeah.
Yeah, it's my feeling is whole house system has a meaning and it has a place, and it shows certain things. It's just not what I'm into.
And since you're the one that's actually doing the reading, you should be doing the reading how you're most comfortable translating that chart, how
exactly,
however that is.
Exactly.
Yeah. I could harp on about this shit for a while.
Yeah.
But I think that is those were the main questions that I had. Do you have anything that you want to add about anything, or anything that I didn't ask that you wanted to touch on, or anything like that?
Well, I'm very interested in using astrology for therapeutics and for healing.
Yes.
And there's many potential different ways of approaching that. But one thing that, and Elias, I'm sure would go along with this, is like the degree symbols, meditating on those and visualizing those. Like if you're having problems with, say, a planet in your chart, like Venus, you can look up your Venus degree and meditate on that symbol, hold that as a picture in your mind, and then ask it to show you whatever you need to see. These things are alive. The signs are actually beings. The zodiac is actually an intelligence, a being, and the planets are all beings, and they're all alive, and they all have consciousness, and we can talk to them, and we can have dialogues with them.
Tap into the.
Yeah, and I think it's important to think in those terms because that makes it living and vibrant.
Yes.
Yes.
I do a lot of stuff with Jupiter.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Talking, rituals, all kinds of.
What is the degree of your Jupiter?
20 something. I don't know the minutes. To be 21, I guess.
What sign?
Aries.
20 Aries. Ah. See, that's just within 2 degrees of an opposition to my moon. That's good. Yeah.
I do a lot with that particular, and Saturn. I do a lot with Saturn too.
Yes. Okay, this has been great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've really enjoyed it.
Are you looking at a chart?
I'm looking at your chart. Yes. Yes.
I noticed
you have moon in second house like I do.
Yes. And how do you pronounce this? It's coach. I don't pronounce anything right. You said that's how you pronounced it, right?
Oh, the Koch system?
Coach.
Yes.
Yes. I always want to pronounce it coach.
Yeah, well, it looks like coach, but it's German. So in German, it would be Koch. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, it is in the second house. I have clients that like me to use that particular one. I was playing around with my own chart in there once, and I noticed that the moon was in the second house. I was like, oh, okay.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Huh.
So I was at this astrology convention. I was talking about one of the reasons for not using Placidus is that when you get way high up toward the pole, the chart becomes more and more and more distorted.
Yes.
And more strange,
Yes.
And so we took a break, and this woman in the audience came up to me and she says, John, I want to tell you something. She says, I lived in Alaska for most of my life. And she says, I'm not surprised that chart's weird when you get up there. She says, because, there's a lot of strange people in Alaska.
That's funny.
I just thought it was good.
So it's like no surprise that the charts would look different too.
Right.
Well, I guess we'll go ahead and head off, but thank you so much for coming on here.
And oh yes, it was wonderful.
Yeah, it was. If you want to share where people can find you.
Oh yes, johnsandbach.net is my website, and you can contact me via email through that. And so feel free if you have any questions or any comments, anything like that. I'd love to hear them. And also, I'm now on TikTok and on Instagram for the first time.
I'm still not on TikTok, but I know we talked earlier that you just got the Instagram set up. So
yes,
that's cool.
Yes,
very cool. And I'll put below in the description box where you can find him as well. So yeah.
Okay, that's great.
and I guess I will go ahead and head off.
Okay.
I will see all of y'all later.